A woman handed a burrito to an old man in a quiet corner of the city. No charge, no questions. She only smiled. She didn't sell much either, but every morning she left a hot meal there for an old man no one else seemed to see. Until one morning, an armored convoy stopped beside her cart, and when a four-star general stepped out, he didn't ask. "Who are you?" He saluted and said, "Thank you for protecting one of ours." The morning heat clung to the Brooklyn streets like a damp blanket. Elena Rojas pushed her burrito cart steadily along the cracked sidewalk, the aroma of eggs and cilantro trailing behind her. Her hair was tied back into a tight bun, her t-shirt already damp with sweat. A few feet away, hunched against a rusted light pole, sat an old man in a faded military coat, oddly out of place in the summer heat. His face was mostly hidden under a scraggly beard, but the name tag on his chest, barely readable, still clung to the fabric, J. Maddox. As Elena parked her cart at her usual corner, a police cruiser rolled to a stop. Officer Rick Coleman stepped out with practiced arrogance. Still here, he sneered at the old man. "I told you, move along. You're scaring the brunch crowd." Maddox didn't flinch. He stared straight ahead, his eyes locked on something far away. Elena watched from her cart jaw, tight hands steady. As the officer turned away, Elena quietly wrapped a burrito, crossed the sidewalk, and knelt beside Maddox. "For you," she said simply. Maddox didn't speak, just reached out with slow, calloused fingers and accepted the warmth. The two sat in silence. Passers-by veered around them, some scoffing, others whispering. Elena said nothing. Maddox took slow bites, careful as if he hadn't eaten in days. Elena noticed the way he sat his back straight, his hand resting near his side, not lazy but ready. A man used to discipline. Military, no doubt. Elena didn't ask. Maddox didn't explain. But something passed between them, recognition maybe. Not of identity, but of shared invisibility. Elena stood, nodded once, and returned to her cart. Maddox looked after her for a second, then lowered his eyes and kept eating slower, now more present. The next morning the heat came earlier. Elena wiped her brow as she sat up. Maddox was already there, sitting in the same spot. She handed him a burrito and he nodded in quiet thanks. Their rhythm had formed, but it wasn't unnoticed. Donna Harwick, owner of the boutique cafe next door, stood on her stoop with arms folded and lips tight. "You're turning this block into a shelter," she snapped. Elena didn't respond. She turned back to her cart, adjusting her cooler lid, ignoring the looks. Maddox ate slowly, gazed forward, unmoved by the judgment pooling around him. That afternoon, a patrol car parked across the street. A different officer, Captain Roy Danner, stepped out, clipboard in hand. "Ms. Rojas," he asked. Elena nodded, her jaw tightening. "We've received formal complaints about loitering, unauthorized vending, and public hygiene concerns." Elena stayed still. "The man isn't bothering anyone," she said. Danner gestured toward Maddox. "He's a disruption." Elena's voice dropped. "He's hungry." Danner paused, then handed her a yellow citation slip. "One more of these and you'll lose your vendor's license." Elena accepted it without a word. Maddox didn't look up, but his fingers clenched slightly around the burrito, as if bracing for impact. That evening, Elena lingered longer than usual, wiping down her cart even after the sun had dipped low. Maddox remained seated nearby, the emptied foil wrapper resting neatly beside him. "You don't have to keep doing this," he said suddenly. Elena looked up, doing what Maddox's eyes were steady, taking risks for someone the city doesn't want. Elena folded a towel, firm and calm. "The city doesn't decide your worth. You do." Maddox didn't respond immediately. Then he muttered almost to himself, "I used to believe that too." A silence followed, thick but not heavy. A crack had opened. The next morning Maddox was gone. His usual spot sat empty, shadowed only by a faint grease mark and a crumpled coffee cup. Elena searched nearby alleys, asked familiar faces. No one had seen him. She unpacked her cart slowly, a quiet tension in her fingers. Still, she wrapped a burrito, as usual, set it gently at the edge of the cart and left it there. Just in case he came back, just in case hope still mattered. 2 days later, the corner pulsed with its usual noise until a sudden hush fell. 3 black SUVs rolled up, their tinted windows gleaming beneath the summer sun. The doors opened in unison. Out stepped a tall man in full military uniform, badges, medals, the glint of service. Pedestrians stopped. Donna stepped out of her cafe, squinting. Elena froze mid-rap. The man scanned the sidewalk until his eyes landed on the cart. Then, as if recognizing something unspoken, he strode toward Elena. Ms. Rojas. His voice was calm, authoritative. Elena nodded, confused but composed. My name is General Edward Kane. I'm here for a man named Jonathan Maddox. Elena's eyes widened. As if summoned, Maddox emerged from the alley behind the cart, his steps measured back straighter than before. Kane removed his cap and stepped forward. Colonel, he said with reverence, it's been too long. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Kane turned to Elena. You were the only one who saw him not as a burden, but as who he really is. General Kane turned to face the growing crowd. Colonel Jonathan Maddox commanded Operation Firebridge. He saved 147 American lives, including mine, he said. A murmur spread through the onlookers. Donna's face paled. Rick Coleman, watching from across the street, slowly removed his sunglasses. Kane continued. Due to the classified nature of the mission, his identity was buried. But make no mistake, he is a hero of the highest order. He looked to Elena. And she is the only person who treated him with the dignity that we as a nation failed to. The silence grew thick, then turned into scattered, respectful clapping. Maddox finally broke the silence. He turned to Elena, eyes clearer than they'd been in years. You reminded me I was still a man, he said, voice gravelly but steady. Elena, blinking back tears, smiled softly. You were never anything less. Kane stepped forward and placed a medal in Maddox's palm. Welcome back, Colonel. The moment held like a held breath. Then from somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered, about time. The very next day, the mood on the block had shifted. Donna Harwick put up a new sign in her window, Veterans Welcome. Free coffee. Rick Coleman came by in plain clothes and approached Elena with a stiff nod. I was wrong, he said quietly. About him, about you. Elena said nothing, just met his eyes. That was enough. Maddox stood straighter now and donated clean clothes, speaking more freely with locals who came by to shake his hand. A news crew rolled by to capture a segment, but it wasn't about spectacle anymore. It was about dignity return. General Kane held a brief ceremony right there at the corner. No stage, no pomp. Just a folding flag, a few medals, and a small crowd that had grown steadily over the past 2 days. He pinned a small medal to Elena's apron. For service beyond duty, he said. Maddox, standing beside her, gave a short salute. Elena, overwhelmed, simply whispered, thank you. Kane looked out at the crowd. She reminded us what honor looks like outside a uniform. Then softer, he added, and what it looks like to wear one even when no one sees it. A photo of Elena and Maddox standing side by side beneath the street corner flag went viral within hours. News outlets picked up the story. The vendor and the veteran and social media exploded with praise. Donations poured in to support local veterans. A mural of Maddox was painted on the side of the cafe that once pushed him away. Elena declined most interviews, but when asked why she helped him, she simply said, because no one else did. The city council passed a resolution honoring her service, and a foundation was launched in Maddox's name to support homeless veterans. What began on a hot summer sidewalk rippled across the country. One day, a young girl approached Elena's cart and asked, is it true you saved a soldier? Elena smiled. No, she replied. He saved all of us. I just saw him first. The girl handed her a thank you card hand-drawn with stick figures under an American flag. Elena pinned it inside her cart. As the sun warmed the corner, people kept coming, some for food, some just to say thanks. Elena kept cooking, same spot, same heart. Because in a world so quick to look away, sometimes it only takes one person to stop and truly see.